I spoke with Derek Brunson yesterday, guys, and so many questions when you're talking with Derek Brunson. One thing we never touched on is Brunson recently. It was prior to his last fight, but he said going into that he was going to win that fight. He's going to beat Adesanya and he was going to retire. Now, he did not win that fight, and therefore the retirement talks are off. But I never wanted to bring that up because I knew what Brunson was talking about when he said it. It was a burn your ships type moment. He was putting himself to a corner. He was putting an urgency on his career, saying, I have no more time. I'm out of time. There is no tomorrow. We're going to get it done right now. I loved it. I loved the mindset they had. I loved Brunson's performance. I've told you this guy's a million times. He had one completed round against the now #1 contender. Oh, and by the way, Brunson won the round. At any rate, there's no way to talk to Brunson, guys, without asking him about Paulo Costa. Now, there's very few ways to ask him about Paulo Costa. Paulo, of course, calling Brunson out, and Brunson said, no, you're a different weight class. There's no way to ask him that question without sounding as though I'm putting down Paulo Costa. I would never put down Paulo Costa. I have a relationship with Paulo Costa. I happen to agree with Brunson fully. That first off, I'm not taking the fight. I'm a main event guy, right? If you're Derek Brunson and you have done nothing but main events and co-main events for a huge period of time. As a matter of fact, the last card that Derek Brunson was not a main event or co-main event of, he was third to the end, and it was at Madison Square Garden. But Brunson's had one hell of a run. You are never going to pull. I want to make sure that you guys understand this. When Brunson says, no, I'm not going to do it because I don't think that you can make the weight class, make sure you understand when you are in Brunson's spot, you are likely going to go 5 rounds. He's going to return to a main event. Even if you don't, you go to a co-main spot. Here's the point. Make sure you don't miss it, because Brunson never elaborated on this. I'm going to tell you, you heard what his words were. I'm going to tell you what those mean. It means I'm going to do the fight anyway. It means this is going to be a feature match. It's going to be a big match. I'm going to show up. You're going to double cross me, or at least I think that you might, which is going to bother me mentally the entire time. When you actually do it, I'm going to be confronted with, do I follow the golden rule, which the show must go on, or do I refuse to fight you? Brunson's going to fight you. So now he's fighting you, and he's giving you an advantage that mentally bothered him the whole time, and now he's confronted with the physicality, and he's saying, no way, man, you got to do it again, then come see me. It's very fair by Brunson, but Brunson never took the time to explain that. I got put in the spot, if I was to personalize for you guys, but I had a fight with the guy. We were either a co-main or a main. I can't remember, because we went title fight, all 5 rounds. He missed weight by 7 pounds, and this guy was a killer. On my really good day, I could beat this guy, but he could beat me too, and I'm well aware of it. It's one of those fights going in, you give him any kind of advantage, you just tip the scale. And whether physically that turns out to be the case or not, that's going to be physically for the rounds that were in there. What about the mental? Before you go, it's a lot to put on a guy. Just sharing with you, it's a lot to put on a guy. You're trying to play through it, and I had no evidence that this was possibly going to happen. So when it did get to me, and it did get to me, it was from the weigh-ins to the fight. It had 24 hours. 8 of those hours I was asleep. It had 16 hours, and it had an effect. It was annoying. It was the whole thing. Well, are my takedowns going to work? My takedowns, I know I could take him down if he weighed 185 pounds, but he's probably going to get in there too. Crazy stuff, but it goes through your head, and it's your head, and you know yourself. What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do about that? You know yourself. You know that's going to bother you. Now, I bring that up because I did ask Derek, and Derek, we did not have a bag on Paulo Costa session, not at all. Derek paid him compliments. He said, I don't think he's within our weight class. I got to compete at this weight class. I'm trying to maintain my rank, and I'm trying to improve my rank, and I have to fight guys at this weight class. If we go out and we do it at catch weight, even if we agree to 3 days before, like Paulo's last fight, or we move it up a whole weight class, like happened in Paulo's last, I don't get any credit at my weight class. It's a very fair point by Brunson. I'm adding words. Brunson never took the time to say it. But I also think that Derek thought maybe you guys would know what it meant, which is why I'm taking the time to explain to you that's a very real thing. But let's go back to Paulo, because Derek was very sweet to Paulo. Did not put him down at all. At all. All he said, I don't think he can make the weight. I'm going to fight guys in this weight class, and I don't think that he's there. But Derek went a step further and said, I don't think he should. Now, that's the first guy that I've ever had back me up on that. I talked to Paulo's own coach, Eric, 185 pounds. I've spoke through a third party to Paulo's mentor and manager, Waleed Ismail, 185 pounds. I have talked to Paulo Costa directly about getting him to go to 205 pounds, 185 pounds. I have never had anybody back me. I haven't had the UFC come out in an interview and say, we'll book the son bitch, but we're booking him at 205 where he should be. I've just never heard anybody say it. And Derek finally said it. And Derek did not put him down. He said, he's a big enough guy. As fighters, we always want to be bigger. We don't want to be small. We want to be the biggest, baddest, toughest. And he said it about himself. He said, if I could look the way he, if I could go 205 pounds the way he can, I would do it. And therefore, I think that he should. And I'm not ready to let this go. I'm not. I don't think I have to yet. I think that my opinion matters. I know your opinions matter. And I know Paulo is influenced by you guys. I know that he listens to his fans. And the reason I don't think it's too late is he's not booked yet. There's still room here. And I do think that Derek's prediction that even if Paulo gets a bout agreement for 185, he's not likely to make it. It's true, guys. The hardest time you'll ever have in life is the first time you give up. Be one of the days that you regret ever happened. You will have coaches out there that will think it's their job on a daily basis to break you. I will tell you the most disappointing day you'll ever have in yourself, and it doesn't matter what in the hell you had to endure to get it. The day that you break and you know that that's possible, the next time you break will be a hell of a lot quicker. It won't be further like the coach that pushed you to that limit. You're not going to push that mythical wall out there further and you're going to make it even more. You're going to break sooner. One thing about breaking, for any of you that have never done it, you didn't know you could. A lot of you are listening to me right now. I'd never break. I don't care what it is. I'd never quit. Well, you haven't been pushed to that point. Yes, you would. Quickly. Clayton Hires will break you within 2 hours. You want to trust that experiment today? Get a ticket out to Vegas. I'll prove it to you. But what I'm sharing is, the first time that you miss weight, that's a break. Something happened. The scale got you. You don't fix it the next time. And there's not guys within this sport that have a history of that, where you go look at the calendar and you see in 2017 he missed weight, but he stayed at the same weight class, and boy, that never happened again. He sure had a great time. There's nobody you could do that with. That's not the way it works. You miss weight one time, you goddamn sure going to miss it a second time. Except the second time, you're going to miss it by more, and you're going to miss it a couple days quicker. Once you break in life, you don't start to break later. You start to break sooner because now you've learned how. There's a period of time where you don't know how to say stop. You do not know how to say that with your body language or with your mouth. But boy, the day you learn it, realize it could be a pretty helpful word. And you start doing it quicker. And I don't want this for Paulo. Paulo's a very young guy. He's a very handsome guy. He's a very skilled guy. He came from next to nothing to a #1 contendership. When I worked with Paulo Costa, Vanderlei Silva and I were the coaches. Ultimate Fighter. Vanderlei and I are not allowed to meet the guys, let alone know who they are. That could be an advantage. We could know who the better guys were, and then we're going to pick teams. It could be it. So everything stays the same. They keep the athletes away from us. They put Vanderlei and I in one room. 2 athletes walk out to fight to get into the house. The same process as you guys know that exists today for the Ultimate Fighter. That's the first time we ever see those human beings. At the time that they walk, that the red and the blue walks, somebody puts a sheet in front of Vanderlei and they put it in front of I with a resume for it's called a one sheet. You got the guy's picture, you got the guy's name. First time that you ever see his name, you get to see his age. Maybe he's got a rank, maybe he's got a little experience. In that case, it was a lot of jungle fight. If the same thing happened in the US, it'd be a lot of the King of the Cage. But the point is this. That's all we know. And when it had lists of accomplishments for every athlete, and every athlete had lists, said one thing for Paulo Costa. Wasn't black belt. Wasn't jungle fight. Wasn't student of, wasn't golden gloves, wasn't Olympic hopeful. Said powerlifter. That's what that one sheet said. And I remember looking at it and looking at the beautiful body of Paulo Costa. And I remember thinking, not going to work. And I remember I looked over to Vanderlei, and Vanderlei had just read the same thing. And he looked up and goes, this isn't going to work. And we were right. Vanderlei and I were right. This guy was too green. This guy did not have the background. That guy, Paulo Costa, went from what I just described to the 2-man on earth, and he's trying to return to it. The only thing we all need to do now is get a hold of him and explain your journey at 85, your race has been ran. Your new journey begins at light heavyweight.